The creepiest true horror stories. Human teeth and nightmares. This isn't something that happened to me, but rather something that happened to my father. My father grew up in a haunted house. Creaking floors when no one was there, doors closing by themselves with no impetus. And weirdest of all, my father's sister, my aunt, was strongly plagued with nightmares once they moved into the house, and she was only about 5 at the time. She would scream in her sleep and wouldn't wake up whenever she was having one of her screaming fits. Her parents tried to wake her up, much of the time with ill success. When she would finally wake up, she would start crying and say, "The man was getting closer to my bed again." She described the man as only having half of a face, because part of his head was missing. My father's mother felt disturbed by this, as her child was only 5 at the time. And so she could have gotten these images from any sort of media, as this was long ago. Fast forward to a few months later, the nightmares get worse. At this point, her parents attempted therapy, which results in no change whatsoever, but they're getting desperate. A little time later, her mother vacuumed her room, and while doing so heard some larger objects get lodged within the vacuum. She opened the vacuum cleaner bag to see what the objects were. Turns out that the vacuum cleaner sucked up human teeth. A few calls later, they discovered the previous owner of the house shot himself in that very room. I guess they weren't thorough with the cleaning. Needless to say, they moved out as quickly as they could after that. My aunt never experienced nightmares to that extent again. Nearly strangled with barbed wire. My family and I used to live in a rough neighborhood when I was a kid. One night, it was just my mom, me, and my 2 siblings at home, and my dad was gone on a business trip. That night around midnight, someone started knocking on our door. My mom woke up and went to the front door and asked who it was. No one answered. She thought that maybe it was some kids playing ding-dong ditch, so she went back to bed. About 30 minutes later, again, someone starts knocking. She gets up and peers through the side window to see if she can spot anyone out there. Nobody is there. She starts to worry, so she goes back to the room and grabs my dad's shotgun and sits in the living room in the dark waiting. Again, there's knocking. My mom begins shouting at whoever it is that she is going to call the cops, and that if anyone tries to come in, that she would shoot them. At about 2 a.m., the police finally show up and do a quick search outside of our house while we waited inside. After their search, that they had found a piece of barbed wire about 4 feet long next to the front door and asked if it belonged to my mom. She said that it wasn't hers and asked why. The cop told her it belonged to whoever was knocking on the door. They were planning on strangling my mom with the barbed wire. When she opened the door to see who was knocking, they said that she was very smart to not open the door to see who's there. Otherwise, that could have cost her life. The cops said that they'd patrol the neighborhood until morning and do a thorough investigation once there was daylight. That morning, as they were searching around the house, they found footprints leading around to the back of the house, leading up to my bedroom window. They had also found nicks in the windowsill where they were trying to pry open the window to break in. Failed. After that, we moved out of that house, getting tagged from the other side. A few years ago, a group of friends and I learned about an abandoned local cemetery. We go during the day to check it out. There are about 30 or so gravestones, ranging from 80 years old all the way down to a 5-year-old girl. The newest grave is at least 70 years old. Living in a young town, I realize many suburbs bear the names of these same gravestones. We decide to return later on at night and play hide and seek. When we arrive after dark, my perception of the area totally changes. What was scenic and sort of sad earlier now feels scary. All the graves are partially hidden by long grass, and large dead trees surround the area. We pick someone to be it and proceed to hide. I don't hide particularly well, but I remain unfound for some time, so I lie near a fence in the long grass, playing on my phone. After about 10 minutes, I hear some grass around me move. This is Australia, so there's a chance it is. Who am I kidding? It definitely is. Something that could kill me. So I move into a more defendable position, yet stay hidden. This new position puts my back to a gravestone, on the other side from where the body lays. Another few minutes pass. As the wind picks up and the temperature drops by a few degrees, I swear to God I feel someone touch my shoulder. The voice of a 5-year-old girl whispers right next to my ear, "You're it." Needless to say, I freak and scream like a girl, which also freaks my friends out. After a brief explanation of what happened, we quickly relocate to the entrance of the area to make sure everyone got out. Detail: the gate is downhill of the graves, so looking up they're silhouetted. When we confirm everyone is there, one of the other guys grabs my arm and points up the hill. And I kid you not, we see the outline of a little girl in 20s style kids clothing skipping around the headstones. Fastest I have ever run in my life.